What's up, y'all? I think I might be too far away. I can't see anybody. Well, I can see, but I can't see the messages that well. Let me bring it up. Okay. I was trying to sit far enough back so y'all can see my whole outfit because I found this skirt on my birthday and it reminds me of this skirt that I had when I was like in elementary school, and I love that skirt. Hey, India. I remember there was this skirt. Me and my sister both had matching skirts, and it was a denim skirt. It's really like the same style. Only thing is that it wasn't like, asymmetrical. But it had like the denim skirt with the ruffle at the bottom. And I remember I used to love that skirt so much. Like I felt like I was really doing something in life with that skirt on. And so I found this and I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen this style in a long time. And I want it. I still feel the feelings never changed. So I couldn't wait. And so putting it together with this sweater and the outfit working out the way that I thought it would in my head, actually better. I was like, oh yeah, it's a full fit day. It's a full fit day. Some days I be looking, I don't be trying as hard, but we trying today. We're trying today. And I'm trying to get a good angle because I recorded a video not too long ago, and I had a skirt on, and I had to delete that video because that angle was all bad. Like, I'm sure I chop it in there. Indy said today is a robe day for me. Understood. Understood. Hopefully one day will be a not robe day. Hey Cardi. Hopefully one day will be a not robe day. So y'all, this week, I feel like this week is better. So y'all remember last week I was saying like, I don't know where my energy went, but she dipped on us. Like she said, I'll see you later. Energy is much better this week. And I didn't necessarily do anything different, and I'm still 30, but the energy is a little bit better now. So I felt like not necessarily that I was more productive. It just didn't feel as like exhausting this week. And so I want to know how y'all week was. Like, did it feel different for y'all? Do y'all feel like it still was like a team no energy days or what? Like, how was y'all week flowing? Because I felt it felt different. Like the energy was there just a little bit more, just a little bit more. So that's part of it. But I also found this show on Apple TV. So if y'all don't already watch Apple TV, yeah, figure it out. Okay, y'all. Get you like try it out for a month and see what it's talking about because they have some good shows on there. And I was asleep. Like hardcore sleep. I was sleeping on these shows. Like there's so many good things on there, and I was let me see, had a lot of a decent week, just so full of emotions. Yes, I'm gonna get to that too because it was an emotional. Lord, it was an emotional day yesterday. But these shows that I've been watching, there's this one in particular that I started watching that my mom told me about called Truth Be Told, and it stars, I cannot think of her name right now, but I can picture her face. She's from The Help, and she's in this show. She's the lead of this show. She's a journalist, and she covers crimes on her podcast, and she basically investigates them to get to the truth of these cases. So they're so it's a drama, and it was really it's really intense, but it's just really good because I feel that the way that they have written the show, um it's not like something that seems like it's outside of the scope of reality. It is really just really well written, and it also brings your attention to things that are happening in real life. And so this one season, there was this woman who is a she's like a really popular author and artist, and so she's really well known. She's a public figure. She was known for like basically like getting it out the mud. And I'm about to look at your. I'm sorry, I'm about to look at your comment there. She's basically like she basically got it out the mud, and so she's inspired all these people to go through this process of like grieving properly and accepting their emotions and all of this different stuff, right? And so she has these fans who are like obsessed with her, like obsessed obsessed. Like they stalk her. They go hard for her. Like I feel like they would take people out for her. Like they really rock with her. And so it turns out that, you know, everything that she was like, everything that she puts out there, she doesn't really stand for. And so I was like, man, you know what? That's such an interesting topic to discuss, because it makes me think about just the way that a lot of people, especially influencers, how they may portray themselves as like one way, but behind the scenes you don't really know who they are, right? And so that whole idea of having integrity and being real and authentic is going to be is going to become a problem if that's not part of your character. Like it just had me really thinking about the type of person you should be on screen and off, and how there are not a lot of people who are representing themselves accurately when it comes to their platforms. And so it just gave me this new sense, like this new conviction to not put on airs and not to put on this like this facade or this mask like I have it all together, or you know, flat out lying to people, or saying this is what people should do, but then when it comes down to execution, I don't do it myself, right? So all of these different things that if only the people who know you would know about you, um like who are you when nobody's watching, basically. And so it was very interesting. It was very interesting. All the seasons are good, but that season in particular, it is something that I would like to explore a little bit more, like in detail, just like that whole topic of integrity and character when it comes to being an influencer. But I thought that that show really gave me like a whole lot of things to think about. It's really good. It's called Truth Be Told. It's on Apple TV. This is like a quick caveat, y'all. I have always dreamed, not always, but lately, maybe like the past few months, I have thought about having a show dedicated to TV reviews. Because if anybody knows me, TV is my love language. I feel like it should be one officially, because I love TV. I love watching shows. I love watching movies. I love I love TV and I love talking about TV shows. And so I like doing reviews and reactions. Like I really enjoy just the whole idea of it. Like I get really immersed in TV. And so I really would love to have a show where it could we could just talk about TV shows, because I could that'd be a time. That'd be a time. So I just so you know, I can make this entire episode about this. That's how much I love it. But I'm gonna save that for I got to start the show now so that I can actually do the TV part too. But yeah, I think that it definitely brought up a lot of things for me. And so before I get into today's topic, there's actually a question that was asked in the community, and it's for helping introverts. How have I helped introverts be authentic with their platform and to help with engagement? And so I thought that that was a really great, a great question. And so I am looking forward to having that be our topic for today. And I'm gonna save that till the end because there's different components to it. But before we get into the whole introvert talk, I wanted to tell y'all about my day yesterday. So I'll let y'all know last week that I was preparing to I'm gonna be doing a detox. So the detox is starting soon. I'm gonna start it on April 3rd. I'm going to invite people on another date, but I will let y'all know what that date is because I still have to do some things to set it up. But this is relevant because yesterday I was at a point where I was realizing that I was kind of feeling I just needed to feel God's love. Like that's the best way I can describe it. I was just in desperate need of feeling it. And I I was feeling like over like everything like business wise and even some areas like personally just with relationships and um I was just it was almost like I was feeling apathetic. And so I was talking to one of my friends and I was telling her I was like cuz she asked me, and if you ask me a question, if you ask me how I feel, I'm going to tell you. Most times I won't like initiate the conversation, but I can't lie. So if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you like I'm not doing good, or this is how I'm feeling. Like it's just like a immediate reaction for me. So I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I'm over it. I feel over it. And it's not because things are going horribly or that I'm in a place where like I feel stuck or anything like that. It's just the pace is frustrating me right now. And it is feeling like I'm repeating things and feeling just feeling like I keep finding myself in the same places to a certain degree. And so she was telling me, she told me something that really stuck with me, is that there was I was referring to a particular time last year where I was doing walks. And so the walks have always been a really helpful exercise for me to do, partly because actual exercise, but also because that was a time where I really got to just really feel like loved by God. Like that was like our time to just like talk, like our personal time, our intimate time. So going on those walks was always so much more to me than just exercise. And so the theme when I did the walks last year was to receive his love. And so she told me yesterday, she was like, have you thought about going on a walk again? And so I was like, man, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I felt it. Like I was gonna have to go on another walk. Like I was gonna have to. I needed to start walking again. And I was even thinking about it because the weather is getting warm. It's getting warmer and all of that stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, I can start doing that when I start to feel this way and feel overwhelmed and over it, and like I'm trying to run away from what I'm supposed to do. And so, but in saying that it's time to start the walks again, my immediate feeling was I'm right back where I started. And it felt I was discouraged because it just felt like there was some lesson I wasn't getting, or why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep finding myself in the same space? And when she heard me say that, she was like, you're basically tormenting yourself because you're repeating this cycle of thinking in your head that is making you feel condemned, and that's not what's happening. She said that when I did it initially, I was only able to receive so much, like to soak up so much, and now I'm in a different place, and I'll be able to take in even more of his love. So it's not that I'm in the same space, it's that I'm able to get even more from being in this place. And I felt so freed by that and encouraged by it because it was true. Like I really was putting myself in this cycle of torment. Like really, like if y'all heard the stuff I was saying to myself, y'all, it was not nice, and it wasn't helping me because when it came down to it, the thinking that way just made me want to hide, which is like, how does that even make sense? Like, it's supposed to, when you're convicted, it's supposed to lead you to change, to action, not to run away and hide from it. Like that's not what's supposed to happen. And so it's so funny though, because when it's in your head, it sometimes it sounds right. Like it sounds like the truth. It sounds like this is what you're supposed to do. And especially in areas where maybe you struggle more, um, it can become something where you think is good, but then when you tell somebody, they're like, hold up, I don't know. Like that sounds off. Like I don't know if that's the truth. Like why are you thinking that? Where is that coming from? So being able to just like talk and have that conversation, um, was really good, but it was also super emotional. And I went on this walk. I was already crying having the conversation. Then I ended up going on the walk after we talked, and I was crying on the walk, listening to this song. And so it was just, I cried a lot. I cried a lot. So it's been emotional too, but mostly yesterday, because yesterday was when I like said something about it, and I wasn't like suppressing it or ignoring it. And so I thought that it was I'm not really sure why I'm sharing it. I just think that's is me being real about where I am, and knowing that like whatever whatever I get during this detox, I feel like it's going to be really good, and I don't have to be afraid of it. It's going to be tough, but I don't have to be afraid of it because it's going to all be for my good. And so, even with that, it's kind of changing my attitude towards it, because I was going to do it. I wasn't going to not do it, but I definitely was just not, I didn't always have like the best attitude about it, and like almost like freaking out by the idea of being disconnected. So it's really interesting. It was really interesting, and it was just really freeing. And I feel like it's just an indication of like what's to come. But I hope that just in me even sharing that, it encourages you in some way, and it helps you think about what you may be avoiding, or what may be, like tormenting you, what thoughts or ideas might be tormenting you and keeping you in a place where you're not taking action. I'm not going to necessarily say that you're stuck, because you might be moving, but you may not be taking certain steps that you need to, because of the things that you're thinking and telling yourself, and just what you're feeling right now. So just consider that. If it comes to you during the live and you want to share it, you're more than welcome to. But if it doesn't, that's fine too. Just as long as you know I said it, I told you, you heard it. So you can't say I didn't tell you. So yeah, that's that is that's that. Well, we're gonna get into the topic now, and the question came from Irene Gaturu. She is, I hope I said your last name correctly. Um, she is in our branding group, our branding course. And so this week, just to give y'all a little like peek into what we're doing, this week we were talking about, well, we're talking about a few things, but one of the things we were talking about was finding our people. And one of the topics that we discussed a few weeks ago in the beginning was finding your voice, knowing what your voice is, and being bold with it. And so this question that she asked was pertaining to being an introvert. And so she was saying that she is typically introverted, and that when she is when she's someone who speaks and engages in person, she is more like she's more herself. It feels more natural, it's more free flowing, and it's more engaging. And when it comes to her content online, she's frustrated. Let me not put words in her mouth, but she was asking like, how do I get the engagement, and how do I come across as someone who is authentic, because that is what she noticed in me that drew her to me, and she wants to be able to be her authentic self and be the same engaging person that she is in person and in her videos online. And so I thought that that was a good question to bring up, because she wants to know how I've helped people to do that. And I always feel like uh, one of the best examples that I have of this is myself. So, a few years ago, when I was first getting started, I would definitely consider myself to be an introvert, and I would do videos, but I would never like really be myself in them. Like I felt like they were very like professional and straight to the point, and there wasn't a lot of personality involved in the actual like how I presented myself. I was really only showing my personality and my style, which is cool, but it was almost like I was scared to use my voice. And so I went through this period where I had someone tell me that, hey auntie, I had someone tell me that my confidence was going to impact my business negatively. She's like, you're not going to be able to get what God has for you until you work on your confidence. And so when she said that, I was like, what kind of business tip is that? You're not telling me how to form an LLC, or uh write a business, write a proposal or a business plan. Like, this is not practical. Like, what do you mean by that? And I honestly was mostly just caught off guard by the fact that she didn't know me, but she could see me. Like, that was revealed to her that I was struggling with it, because for a lot of people, you wouldn't be able to look at me and tell. Like, you wouldn't know that I was struggling. You wouldn't know that I had, almost crippling fear of being myself. Like, you would not know that at all. And so it was the fact that she like saw me that was like, what? And that's how I knew, like, no, that was God. That was God. So I started to take my confidence more seriously. And one of the first things that kind of like broke this whole idea that I had of myself was that I realized that being shy was not who I was. That was not how I was created. Like, I wasn't created to be shy, and I wasn't created to be timid. And that the whole idea that I had adopted of calling myself a shy person, first of all, wasn't true, especially like with the history that I have of being a performer and just being a social person, and having the ability to speak. Like, at some point in my life, I just got scared of being myself. And so this idea that I was a shy person, I had just adopted this at some point, but it's not really who I was. And so from that whole idea of being shy, I started I started telling people my story about it. So as I'm having this revelation, I wrote down all of the things that I was saying to myself, all of the negative things that I was saying to myself. Um, everything I could think of, I wrote it all down. And it felt like such a weird exercise, because it's like, isn't this like wrong? I shouldn't be writing this stuff down. I shouldn't be saying this stuff about myself. But it was me literally confronting every idea that I already had anyway. And so there were a lot of tough things on that list, like those things on that list, they were rough. And if I had heard anyone saying those things to another person, I'd have to say something to them because it was horrible. It was horrible. But I was saying these things to myself. And so I wrote this stuff down on a list. And as I'm going through this exercise, I went through a whole maybe like year and a half of this really being an intentional process of me confronting it. And as I'm going on this journey of no longer being a shy person, but being a bold person, I was documenting it. So this was around the time I started taking my Instagram more seriously. This is back when Instagram was more likable than it is right now. But I started taking Instagram more seriously, and I started an email list. And so on this email list, I just focused on being as vulnerable and like as raw as I could. So some of those things on that email list, it was like, I'm really just telling all my business here. But and growing and going through this process, I was expressing myself publicly. So if you were literally like going through the journey with me. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that was helping me to learn how to do what I do now. It was helping me to be okay with who I was and how I needed to express myself. And so my emails were never like professional. They didn't look like, they weren't the most polished. They were not, I didn't follow any of the rules for emailing. I didn't have things to sell. I was just on there writing to people and just kind of using it to just talk and express myself the way I needed to. So I was learning in that process how to be more authentic, how to be more real with people and being transparent. And I soon started to bring that over to Instagram where I would share things in my stories. And so my stories, y'all, I mean, even to this day, when I post things in my stories are so much more engaging because of the type of community that I've created. Like you'll see me, I won't be in makeup. Even though I've kind of transitioned from that in general. But before, like my pictures on my feed were polished. Like those are perfect. Those I spent time on those, editing those, right? But my stories was just raw. Like it would just be me just waking up, um, just like talking about some off the cuff stuff that just came to my mind, or showing a behind the scenes thing, like just really getting comfortable, just turning the camera on and talking to it, and not being caught up with uh, the format and having a good hook and all of these different things that go into creating like these really perfect looking curated stories that there's nothing wrong with them, but it was going to be a barrier for me if I tried to focus on it. So it was just really important for me to, when it came to me, put it out there. Like, don't try to clean it up and make it something that you think it should be. Just be you, be real. And so when I think about, especially with this question, when I think about how interactions in person are maybe different than interactions on camera, one of the things that we have um, to our advantage when it comes to creating video content is that we get to edit it. We get to make it look exactly how we want to. We get to rehearse, we get to write scripts, we can add filters to it. Like we can do so much to video content or just content in general, like pictures, you can edit them. You know, you can Photoshop things. When you're writing, you can delete sentences and reword things to make it look the way that you want it to. But the thing that's different about being able to just speak to somebody in person is that you don't have that opportunity. When you're talking to somebody in person, you can only show up as yourself. I mean, you can try to hide yourself, but even then, your real self is going to come out eventually. And so, when we are having a hard time with presenting ourselves the way that we are on camera, there are usually a few things that we're doing. One of the biggest ones is that we are already counting ourselves out. We feel like we don't have the right look, we don't have the right voice, we my voice is too squeaky, or I don't have on the right outfit, or my eyebrows aren't done, or we have all these different things that we start to use to compare ourselves, where in person your eyebrows might still not be done, but that's not going to stop you from talking to your coworkers. Like, you got to show up, right? So it's like the same concept. We don't have to create these personas and these different ideas of what it looks like to show up online versus how we look in person or how we show up in person. Like, there's no need to switch it up or change it around, but we get in our heads when it comes to that. And so one of the things that I encourage people to do, and this is going to be, there are a lot of steps that you can use to be more authentic and be just yourself when you show up online. But if you're struggling with this, the most important thing that you need to practice right now is to talk, talk on camera. And you can do that a few ways. One of the ways that I've seen that works really well is to just record yourself, like with your camera on your phone. Just record yourself talking about a topic that you're passionate about. And it has to be something that you're passionate about. It has to be something that you can talk about for 5 to 10 minutes, and you can really just like talk it out. And it doesn't have to be educational, it doesn't have to be something where it's this whole outline or steps, it doesn't have to be an entire class, but it just does need to be something that you can talk about with some like confidence. So whether that is doing hair, or whether that's cars, or whether that is what you do on your job, or maybe it's a topic that's been bothering you for a while and you're just like, I got an opinion on this, I'm gonna talk about it. You have to get yourself into the habit of just talking. Just talk. Like, just talk. Just get it out. Don't have anything obstructing you. Don't stop it because you didn't say a sentence the right way. I just said wait like 10 minutes ago. Wait. There's nothing I can do about that. It happened. I mean, I could go back and edit it later, but if you were here, you heard me say it, right? But this is the kind of things that you have to do. Like, you just have to be okay with being you and just talking. Yeah, Carson, you remember when I told you to do that? Yeah, because it helps. Like, you just have to start doing it. Now, if you want to really be bold, put it out online. So you can do that with your stories on Instagram. You can do that on Facebook. If Facebook is where you feel safe, you can record a video and you can just post it on Facebook. See what people say about it. Maybe they respond, maybe they don't. But the point is that you become more comfortable. And if you really, really, really want to challenge yourself, go live and just talk. The worst that'll happen, there's two things that can happen. First, you might get some trolls. Now, trolls, they're a part of the game. They're a part of the game. But a lot of times, whatever it is that they have to say, they don't know you. So it shouldn't hold any weight anyway. They can be annoying, but a lot of times, more often than not, you'll be all right. Just start talking. And the more you ignore them, the less fun it is for them anyway, and they end up leaving. So just practice talking. And if the comments really scare you, you can do a few things. You can ask a friend or somebody that you trust to show up to your live. Invite them to the live so that you can have somebody there who helps you feel comfortable and engage with you and just talk to you and help you feel natural with it. You can go live with a friend. I've been the first guest on like 2 or 3 podcasts. Like, I literally was the first guest ever. And that's cool to me because it lets me know that people feel like they can be themselves with me. They feel comfortable talking to me, and they just trust it. And then Cardi, I see your comment. I'm not gonna ignore it either. And then another thing that you can do is go back far enough where you can't read the comments. You could be doing an activity. That's one of the greatest things about TikTok. You could literally be cooking dinner and you could go live and you don't have to really worry about actually talking for too much. Or if you want to have an activity to do while you talk, or maybe you're afraid that you won't be able to keep talking for a certain amount of time, you can start cooking, talk a little bit, go back to cooking or doing another activity. When I was I had a period of time where I was like really nervous to just go live and talk because I was scared that I wasn't going to have enough to talk about, or that like people weren't going to show up. I would go live while I was sewing clothes, because going live, the idea of like going live and not being able to edit things scared me. So being able to have something to do with my hands helped me feel less nervous about it. So you have a lot of different options to get yourself the practice in, but the goal is that you have to just keep practicing showing up as yourself. And if you are finding that um, doing like short form content is a challenge for you, like maybe it feels like it's hard for you to be authentic, or it's hard for you to not think about um, like how it looks or whether you're saying the right things, that is actually, that's a really good topic that I think I might save for another video. um, I think I'm gonna save that for another video because there's like a trick to that. But for now, in order for you to show up just as yourself more consistently, is that you have to start practicing doing it. So you have those options. And with for this exercise in particular, you can do a version where you just speak like into like your microphone and record voice memos. But one of the things that ends up being a hang up for people is that they can do audio just fine, but it's the being on camera part that like messes with them too. So being able to be on camera and have people see you is going to be an important exercise to get into the habit of doing, so that you're just more comfortable showing up online in general. Because again, if you're having a conversation with somebody in person, they're not just listening to you, they're looking at you too. They're seeing you, all of you. They're seeing it. So there is no difference. The only difference is the camera. And that's what I want everybody to start to think about, especially if you identify as an introvert. If you identify as a shy person, I'm coming for y'all. I don't like that word. I don't like it. But I'm going to chill for now. But if you identify as any of those things, this is what I would suggest, because it is what worked for me. That's it. That's all I got on that part. You loud and I don't like it. You know, I'm just enunciating, that's all. I'm just enunciating. You know, just sitting here listening, I'm feeling like half my problem by being on camera is my own insecurities. Anything I put out, I hardly ever go back to see myself. Yeah. Yep. It's relatable to a sense because I typically let everyone in through my stories versus actual videos. Yeah. And so it is there is nothing wrong with that being how you express yourself most naturally, but the goal here is to increase your visibility. And so it's almost like, well, I have mastered showing up consistently in my stories. So now, what is my new challenge? And Cardi, especially with your content, you get really good engagement on your things. And so, you know, you just have to accept that you're awesome. You're amazing. And people see it and they want to be around it. So it's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, India. Yeah. Yes. Hmm. You definitely can. You definitely can. But you have options, y'all. You have options. Stories was how I started, but you don't have to go that route. Because that when I started with that, when I started with stories, that was all I had. Because Instagram wasn't really doing videos like that. You could do Instagram live, but it wasn't like what it is now. If it still felt like you had to be really curated, um, it felt that way. I guess I could have ignored that, but at the time that was a barrier for me. Like if I went live, I felt like I had to have this perfect setup and the lighting had to be good, and I just felt like I had to have all these things, and so that was going to be a barrier for me to stop. But with stories, I didn't have that barrier because stories disappeared 24 hours. It didn't matter anyway. Like I could put it out there, and I knew that the people who were going to see it were people who already liked me. So there is you don't it doesn't have to necessarily be IG stories, but it does need to be it needs to be one where you have the space to just talk. And so a lot of people that might be lives. Like we got to stop being scared of them. We got to stop being scared of them, because the worst that can happen is somebody says something mean to us. You know, people have said mean things to us before, and we survived. They're going to keep saying mean things, and we're going to keep on surviving. We're going to be fine. There's nothing they can do to us. So that's it, y'all. That's it. So I want, especially if you are somebody who identifies as introverted, or if you are having a hard time being real, like being you, and there is somebody or some idea that you are comparing yourself to, this is the exercise I want you to practice, like next week, this weekend, if you really are trying to be ambitious. Just start talking on camera. uh can I still be introverted after I look? I have a whole rant on being introverted, but I'm gonna leave introverted alone. I just don't like when people say that they're introverted when they're really just when they're really just when it's really an insecurity. When it's really an insecurity, I don't like that, and I don't like it when people use it interchangeably with being shy. I don't like that either. Like there are people who you have to you don't process internally. Like you are an external processor. You are somebody who is not necessarily, you're not always like the loudest in the room or the most boisterous, but you get energy. You are energized by being around people. Like you don't do better by yourself. You are scared to be yourself around people. That's not the same as being introverted. And so my biggest problem with it, is that that's what people use it interchangeably like that, and that's not the case. Like being introverted does not equate to being shy. It means that you got to get away from folks so that you can figure out what's going on. Like that's how that time by yourself is what gives you the energy to be able to go out. So yeah, that's it, y'all. That's it. You tell people that you're shy. Yeah, no, no, no. I like now I'm gonna be bold enough and say I want you to stop saying that you're shy. Stop saying it. Even if you feel it, I want you to write it down, and I don't want you to say it anymore. Stop saying that. Because if y'all, and I wish that I had it written down somewhere. I have a video that's on it. Um, the definition of shy is like the synonyms to it are like shameful. Um, you're shameful. You're hiding. You are like withdrawn. Like there you. It's almost like calling yourself shy means that you believe that there's something wrong with you, and you need to shield people from it. Like it's shame. Being shy is being ashamed of yourself. So like when we think about it that way, it's like that's what you're telling people when you tell people I'm shy. I am ashamed of who I am. And that's why I reject it so violently, because as long as we say I am ashamed of who I am, we're not going to show people who we are. We're not going to be bold. We're not going to be authentic. We're not going to be real, because we don't believe that what we have to show people is worthy. Exactly. Exactly. And so I think that I feel like it's become something that has become acceptable, and it's just so weird because it's like, I mean, Webster's will let you know right now, like that's not what you want to be. I don't want to be that. I mean, you can be shy if you want to, but I don't have time to be shy. I don't have time to be ashamed of myself. I got stuff to do that requires me to be me. Like we don't have time for that. So that is why I have such strong feelings towards it. And I get it. I get where it comes from. Person that gravitates towards the animals, if there are any, instead of talking to everyone. Yeah, and animals are great. They are amazing. But we also need people. We're here for a reason. We're here for a reason. And there are people for all of us that can relate to what we're going through, that we can build relationships with, that will accept us. But sometimes, in order for us to have those relationships in those spaces, we have to be brave enough to show people who we are, and maybe even create those spaces ourselves. Like we might have to create those spaces. Like there are so many things that I've done that I felt like didn't make me worthy, and I felt ashamed of. And so if I stayed quiet about those things, there would be so many people that I would never have met. I wouldn't have met y'all. Like if we're being real, I wouldn't have met any of y'all if I chose to stay that way. So, and y'all are amazing. I love y'all, like real bad. He makes fun of you because you'll start training other people's animals. I can only imagine. I mean, you can come and train my dog. I'm okay with that. I won't be offended. I will not be offended. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you for being so engaging and willing to open up and ask me questions like this, because it helps me to understand how I can help and how I can show up for y'all. So I appreciate it. I'm enjoying it. We had some really good conversations this week in the branding group, like really good conversations. So I'm really excited for where things are going. And yes, very open but such a teachable moment. Yeah. That's what I do. But I hope that y'all have I hope that you have an amazing weekend, and I am praying for y'all always. And I hope that as you start to like think about what we talked about some more, you'll start to come to terms with the fact that you were created, you were fearfully and wonderfully made. You were created specifically the way that you were for a specific reason, and that it's everything about you is intentional. Everything about you has a purpose, and you do not have to be ashamed of yourself. Don't be ashamed of yourself. It was all intentional. Everything. Even like even like when we get pimples, it's like it's a reason. Or we struggle with acne. I'm talking about myself. It's all for a reason. It all has a purpose. And so just be encouraged by that. That when God created you, he didn't make a mistake. But like seriously, like let that sink in. He loves you so much that he made you the way that he did for a reason. So yeah. That is also, as you're accepting it, I am also accepting it. It's part of my walk from yesterday. I told you I was crying. But it's all for good. So yeah. That's it, y'all. I'll see you next week. I feel like I'm liking Fridays around this time. It's a cute time. I think I might keep it at least for next week, for sure. But if anything changes, I'll let you know. All right. So I love y'all, and I'll talk to you later.